Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. Before I start, I want to say thank you to all of you who commented on my last videos, and to the new subscribers, thank you guys for your support. I appreciate it. Today I'm going to talk about this controversial list. If you like to watch, YouTube videos and short form videos, you probably heard about this list. The list of the worst date spots to take a girl on a first date. So this was quite a hot topic for a couple of weeks. I'm kind of late on this one. I saw a couple of videos on this. There was a viral video of a woman who refused to get out of the car because she found out that her date took her to the Cheesecake Factory. I find that kind of funny. I saw a lot of reaction videos on that, and one of the video actually was posted by Officer Tatum. If you're into politics, you're probably familiar with him. And so his take on that one, his reaction to that one is quite interesting and also very entertaining. So I have the list. That's what I'm looking at. I'm going to try to put the list somewhere here in the screen. The top 28 worst first date spots. Oh, that's like a tongue twister. All right. So looking at the list, some of these places, I don't know why women would refuse to go to these places. Because I personally find this place is, a good place to go or to go on a first date. The first one on this list, I'm kind of surprised. The Cheesecake Factory. I don't know why everybody be hating on Cheesecake Factory. I think it's a pretty nice place, and this cheesecakes from this place, it's not cheap. I've been there like twice when I was so pregnant. I was craving cheesecake, and I went there twice, and it is quite pricey, to be honest. And I thought at least the one close to where I live, it's very fancy. So not sure why this is on that list. Applebee's is here. I've never been to Applebee's, so I don't know how that restaurant is. It looks like there's one close to where I used to live. It looks quite casual, but again, nothing wrong with a casual date, right? Um, Chili's. I like Chili's, but if you have if you have quite a sensitive stomach, it might not be the best choice for a first date. Um, you know what I mean, right? Gas. It's not a good idea on a first date. Okay, Chipotle. I love this place. I think it's a healthy option for a first date. Olive Garden. Now, this one, I love this place. What's wrong with Olive Garden? I mean, they have some really good pasta there and like endless, what do you call those? The bread and and salad. I mean, I think that is a nice place for a first date. The movies. Now, I thought this was a classic, way to go on a first date, especially if it's a really good movie. And then after that, you can have, a meal together. I think that's nice. I don't know why it's in this list. Now, the number 7 on this list is Your House. I agree with this one. That's too soon for a first date on your house. Um, any fast food chain. Well, most of these places really, probably most people would consider a fast food chain, like Chipotle, for example. So you also got the Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, Red Lobster. Red Lobster, isn't that place is usually right next to an Olive Garden. Um, have I been there? I don't remember, but it looks like a nice place. What's wrong with the Red Lobster? A buffet. Um, for some people, it might be too soon to show your true self. How much you can eat on a buffet. But personally, I don't think it's a big deal. I think, I mean, hey, value for money. Okay, IHOP. Isn't that the breakfast place that serves pancakes? Isn't that too early for? Oh well, if they do all, yeah, that's right. They do serve pancakes all day long, right? I mean, I love pancakes. What's wrong with that? Denny's. Denny's is nice too. The gym. All right. The gym. Um. Hmm. Maybe not here in the U.S. And I can talk about that in a separate video. I don't think I would want to. I mean, my husband and I used to go to a gym together, and honestly, the gym here is very different from the gym in places I've been to growing up. The gym here is like not really the place you want to take your husband to. In fact, I told my husband, you know what? Let's have a gym at home. You know, going to a gym is like the biggest temptation for a man, really. I feel like, well, yeah, that's my opinion. It's like most women that show up in a gym, it's like, all right, I'm gonna talk about that in a separate video. The church, I think it's a nice place to go to on a first date, especially, of course, if you're religious. Then after church, you can have lunch together. I think that's a great idea. Starbucks, coffee dates, ice cream dates. What's wrong with Starbucks? Starbucks is so expensive, by the way. $6 for a coffee, and most people that goes to Starbucks usually pick up a pastry, and they're like $4. That's 10, $12. That's quite expensive. Fancy, man. Fancy coffee. What's wrong with that? I think that's perfect. Um, Ice cream dates. Ice cream dates, there's such things. Sounds cute. Family function. Now, I kind of agree on this one. This is a little too early, I think. It might be a little uncomfortable. Unless you're Filipino. Both of you are Filipino because, in the Philippines, actually, that would be considered like quite a nice thing, That's more of like a cultural thing. Okay, the 21st on the list is movie night. Netflix, Hulu. What does that mean? Oh, watching movie at home. No, that's not a good idea, I think. No, that's too soon. Somewhere that requires a long drive. Why a long drive? Maybe not. Okay, bowling. Bowling. Oh, yeah, I think that is a really good idea for a first date. What's wrong with bowling? Nightclubs, no, I agree. Not that should be that's one of the worst first, date spots. Hookah bar. What is a hookah bar? Well, I'm assuming it's kind of close to some type of bar. No, not a good idea, I think. A bar just for drinks. Is this like those places that I see bar and I'm already like, no, that's not a good idea. But if it's for like, those after hours, I remember I have this coworker that loved those Friday after hours. A lot of those ale houses. I'm not sure if it's a Miller House or I can't remember the name, but there's an ale house close to where we used to work, and she would go get drinks there. And looks like it's a very casual, it's most people just go there for, very light drink. I don't drink, so I don't think this is a good idea, but for those who drink very lightly, maybe okay. Waffle House, isn't that the same, similar to IHOP? What's wrong with Waffle House? Sports events. I think that is a great idea for a first date. Like if someone want to take you on like, um, a football game, especially if it's a baseball game, as you can see on my back. I mean, that would be great. I mean, what's wrong with that? Especially if it's like a big event like an NFL, NFL, MLB, those tickets are expensive. So I don't see what's wrong with those. Most of these places looks like they're all, I mean, majority of them, most people will consider to be like a fast food restaurant or a fast food chain. Um, I would, I guess, understand why most women from here would not want to go. Maybe because they want a more formal setting when it comes to their first date. But to be very honest, and I hate to say this, um, for people that's not from the West, okay, I'm just gonna mention it. If you're from a third world country and life is more simple, I feel like this is a first world problem. I mean, back home in the Philippines, a lot of these places will be considered luxury, to be very honest. In fact, when my husband visited me and my family, most of the places we went to were like, would be considered fast food restaurant, fast food chain. Jollibee is like a big place there. We love that. We prefer that over McDonald's, but we went to McDonald's too. We went to Pizza Hut. I mean, most of the places we went to one local restaurant, and yeah, none of them were like high end. And to be very honest, I enjoyed every single bit of those moments. I feel like the focus is so much more on the place and what kind of meal you're gonna have. Most of these places, I mean, I think they're fine. They're okay. Nothing's wrong with them. And to be very honest, there's so much focus on, I almost feel like it's very superficial. Of course, it's nice to go on a nice romantic date. You're all dressed up and it's formal and romantic, I mean, that's good as long as you can afford it. On the other hand, if you're gonna expect that every man would have that kind of budget, I mean, not everybody has that kind of money. And yeah, you might be able to do that on a first date, but to what about the second date? Like what happens? You started very high, like very expensive. Let's be honest. If you take someone on a very high end, gourmet experience the first date because you want to impress them, and then they're impressed. And then you'll have to take them on the second date. What happens? Like who can this is not very sustainable. It's not very sustainable to have to spend that kind of money on every single date. So I guess you could like I don't think the other person would also like it if you just flat out say, this is the first date, so I'm gonna go all in, all out. But then on our second date, okay, we're gonna go somewhere cheaper. I'm not sure if that woman would appreciate that either. So I don't know. For me, it doesn't really matter. The focus should be more on, the experience together. I feel like um the meal is not really, I mean, yes, it's important that the meal is good. It has to be a decent place, a place that's clean, a place that offers good food. But it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be luxury. The focus more should be what really matters. At the end of the day, what really matters is that you're eating this meal, you're visiting this beautiful place with the person that matters to you. That should be the focal point of the date. And this last part, I feel like, okay, this is my personal opinion. Okay, you can, of course, disagree, and we can all agree to disagree. When it comes to getting to know the other person, ultimately, because your goal is for marriage, long term relationship, I feel like that should be the goal, anyways. The approach of dating is very Western. I'm not saying that people in other parts of the world don't do that. Obviously, they do. But personally, I think that the best approach when it comes to getting to know someone with the purpose of like long term relationship, marriage, is courtship. And you can incorporate dating into courtship, because with dating it's very, I'm not saying it is like this for everybody, but most of what I hear, with dating, it's very recreational. It's having fun, going out, nothing quite serious. It's mostly casual, even though the event might be very formal and romantic, but the intent is not really very clear. With courtship, the intent is very clear even from the very beginning. The desire for marriage is there. And in fact, it's very important that in courtship, there's that declaration of, I'm taking you out because I see potential for marriage. And I think that's like the big difference. There's that direction of where you want to take this relationship, even from the very beginning. And you can incorporate dating into courtship. And, you know, because looking at this list, a lot of these places I personally think are good places to take someone on a date. We have to be considerate of the other person's financial situation. Now, if the man has, good income and you can afford to sustain that kind of, budget on, when it comes to taking someone on a date, 150 to $200 every date, then go for it. I mean, that's up to you. But for majority of men, that's not very sustainable. That is quite expensive. On the other hand, I think it's also very important for the girls, especially those who are looking for a long-term relationship that will lead to marriage. It's good to ask the questions, like, why are you taking me out on a date? Like, what's your intentions? I know that sounds very serious, and I actually asked the same question to someone in college when someone asked me out, and I said, "Why are you taking me out? What's your intention?" The person was like, "Wow, you're very serious. Like, it's just a meal." Well, if that's how you look at it, then we're not on the same page. I'm not on board with that. If it's just for fun, No, things like this, at least for some people, obviously, not for everybody. It doesn't matter what country you're from or what culture you're from. For some people, sharing a meal with someone is quite intimate. You're not only sharing a space, you're sharing food with someone. That's quite an intimate thing. And if there's no interest from the very beginning, girls, please don't accept the invitation. That guy will be wasting his hard earned money and his time, and then you'll be wasting your time too. So only accept an invitation from someone who really is, who really matters to you. I think the feelings should already be there to begin with when you do things like, going out and spending time together. So that's my personal opinion, by the way. You don't have to agree. Obviously, we have different views on this. So that's my take on this one. I hope you guys have a good time watching the video. If not, you can always add in my comment section below. See you guys on my next video. Bye, guys.